Welcome, friends. I'm happy to see you again. It's always nice to meet friends. It's nice to call somebody a friend. And there's nothing like having a friend. I think what we miss most in life, and I am looking at life as a whole, thousands of my friends and their lives, and I see what they miss most is a friend, a true friend. I notice that people have friends who come and go. They say, long ago we had a friend, he left us, or we couldn't keep up with him, or he moved to another location. We talk of so many friends who became friends and then they are no more there. Then friends die, pass away, we miss them, they're gone. When we talk of friendship, it occurs to me that maybe most people don't know that there can be a friend who can be a friend forever and who will never leave us. I found that possibility, that there can be a friend who can be your friend and will never leave you no matter what. When I say never, I literally mean never, into eternity. Not during this life, nor any other life. That such a person is available to us to be a friend, that a human being is available to become a friend like that, I think it's nothing short of a miracle. Especially when we see how short friendships are in this world. So I found that the real friendship can be measured in many ways. They say a friend in need is a friend indeed. Of course, if a friend, when you need a friend and he's not there, you can't call him a friend. I notice people with a lot of money have many friends. When they get broke, there are no friends. It's very strange. Whose friends are they? Of the wallet or of the person who's having the wallet? Therefore, their friendships are based on so many conditions. If you are like that, I am your friend. If you're not like that, I'm not your friend. I find that there are some people who are very depressed. And when I meet them and talk to them, they tell me almost invariably, we have no friends. People go to a depressed person and they don't want to get depressed and they run away. They may have been long friends. Friendship might have lasted for a long time just because a person is depressed. And there are so many circumstances around us which make us depressed in this world. And we lose friends. That's the time when we need the friends most. And those friends disappear. Friends disappear when we are poor. Friends disappear when we are sad. Friends disappear when we are broke. Friends disappear when we are depressed. What kind of friendship is that? Certainly this does not qualify as friendship if the definition is a friend in need is a friend indeed, because that's when you need a friend most. Moreover, even when we say we had a very good friend, I normally see people talking, we had a very good friend. What about why I have a very good friend? Very few people tell me I have a very good friend for a long time, for 30 years, 50 years, all my life. Very few people have that experience. And then those friends also pass away. And the longer that friendship has been, the more sad we feel at their departure. So that friendship that lasts only short periods of time, how can we call it true friendship? On the other hand, I discovered, not only from my experience, but from experience of many others, that if you have a friend who is a perfect living master, it's a friendship forever. For many reasons. One reason is that the perfect living master makes it certain that you carry that friend with you in your head all the time. That the friendship is not based upon a mortal, physical, temporary body. That is based upon something that outlasts this life. And therefore, that friendship goes on forever. It does not stop. It goes into regions which are timeless. And therefore, that friendship never ends. There's a flip side to it too. The flip side is, you may not like that friend anymore, but he still wants to be your friend and continues to be your friend. This friendship which does not judge you, does not put any conditions on you, does not say whether you are rich or poor, whether you are sad or happy, but your friendship is always there and remains unconditional and lasts forever. That's great friendship. I have come to the conclusion that true friendship is that which does not end, which lasts forever. It's rare. I concede it is rare. It's not very common. But then if we get an opportunity to have a friendship like that, there's nothing like it. Ultimately, we find that our basic problem, which creates all problems, is the problem of loneliness. We are lonely. We have skin-deep relationships in this world. Relationships where we can feel that this is not what I really need. My heart is asking for something more than what I'm getting. And that all these relationships we are having are based upon conditions, based upon something expectations from each other, some expectations from each other, something that ties us down to something other than the relationship. It is something that is not truly long-lasting. Just by the very nature of that kind of relationship we have, it's not long-lasting. And we remain alone. Standing in a crowd of people, we feel alone. Sitting with people, we feel alone. Because nobody touches our soul. Nobody touches us right where we have inner feeling. And we become hypocrites. We put up faces which are not our real faces. We try to pretend that we are something that we are not. We try to build relationships. We try to survive relationships. We try to act abnormally in order to survive in relationships. How can you have friendship in that kind of artificial life that you're leading? This artificiality of life comes because we can't be truthful. Truth hurts in these cases. And we become liars. And we conceal who we are. We put on one mask after another. And then we tell lies to protect ourselves in small situations. And then the lies get exposed and we have to have more lies to cover the previous lies. What kind of life is that? What kind of friendship can exist when we are in a state of fear all the time? Will I get caught? Will he find out? Will she find out? These are the problems that are besetting our mind all the time. Just because we do not have a friend and we are alone. We are lonely. This loneliness comes from the fact that we are lonely. It does not come from any artificial thing. The truth is that our inner self is not exactly what we think it is. We are thinking the self is our body. Loneliness is not in the body. We have plenty of company around us. We think that we are the sensory perceptions that can see, touch, taste, smell, that's our personality, that's who we are. We are doing that all the time. We're eating, drinking, making merry, having sex, having friendships of that kind all the time. Yet we are lonely. The sense perceptions are not ourselves. They're just instruments attached to us. Then we think that our thoughts are ourselves. That when we think, that means that must be our real self. Because we can think, therefore we must be that real self. And then we realize thoughts are not our friends at all. When we consider the way we think and what kind of thoughts we have, thoughts are more crushing for us than anything else. If you look back in your life, what crushed you most was your own thoughts. You could think yourself into depression. You could think yourself into breaking relationships. You could think yourselves in hating people. You could think yourselves into committing murder. You could think yourself into murder and evil and all that. How many times have we had positive thoughts and how many times have we had negative thoughts? A mechanism existing in our consciousness which enables us to think does not become ourself. It remains a mechanism. Thinking is a mere process in consciousness. Thinking cannot become us. Then who are we who are lonely? We are the ones that are trying to overcome our loneliness in the company of our mind, in the company of our thoughts, in the company of our sense perceptions, in the company of a world that we created around us, in the company of people who cannot be our friends. Naturally, we have to be lonely. There is no escape. Unless we can meet somebody at the level of our own spiritual self, the self that creates the experiences with the mind, with the senses, with the body, unless we have a companionship at that level, we will always be lonely. And yet, that companionship is available. When I talk of a true friend, I am not talking of a person. There are lots of persons who look like true friends. I am talking of one who becomes your companion at the spiritual level, who is with you no matter what your thoughts, who is with you no matter where you live, who is with you no matter what your belief system, who is with you no matter what spiritual practice you practice or don't practice, who is with you no matter whether you are a believer in God or an atheist. Somebody who can be with you as you are, your real basic self. That would be a true friend. And when we talk of a perfect living master, PLM, perfect living master, when we talk of that, we're talking of such a being. We're talking of such a person. Such a person exists as our companion of the soul, as a companion of the innermost part of ourselves. That person is felt at the soul level and not felt otherwise. It takes time to feel otherwise. The soul feels almost immediately. There's an instant feeling in the soul. I have met something. And then that intuitive feeling that we have met a real companion is disturbed. That feeling is disturbed by no other than our own mind and our own thoughts. We begin to doubt that. We say, but how can we be sure? A certain intuitive knowledge that comes to us is messed up by the thought, can I be certain about it? Now, this is a great game. It's called the game of doubt and fear. It's the game that the mind plays with us all the time. The mind plays the game, let me create a doubt, make you a very wise man. Why? Because you become a skeptic. Then you will learn. If you don't have doubts, how will you learn anything? That's a great game. But give me a big incentive. Okay, you must be a skeptic, must have questions. Otherwise, how will you learn? How will you get answers? To raise the questions, you must have some doubts. If something is so clear, you can't have a question. So you must cloud it first. Cloud it and tamper with it and say, now I can't see it clearly, now I have questions. Mind does a great job of that. Once the mind creates doubt, it automatically leads to fear. Fear is a byproduct of doubt. If you are never doubtful of something, you are not afraid. We are afraid of what might happen. We are afraid of what could happen. We are not afraid of what is happening. We are afraid of what could happen. What is happening, we cope up with it. With all the faculties we have, we cope up with what's happening. A present danger is met differently than a danger we are afraid of. It will happen. I have done actual exercises with people, with my friends, that write down what are you afraid of. Write down 20 of your biggest fears. And they've written down the 20. And then I said, I'll check with you after a few years. how many of them were valid? And most of them said 20 were not valid at all. Some said one was really valid, something came up. I said, do you realize if 1 out of 20 was a genuine subject of fear, you feared 20 times more than was necessary? Why lead a life of so much fear when you didn't need to be afraid of most of the things that you were afraid of? Therefore, we are afraid of unknown things. We are afraid of not knowing what's going to happen. This fear of not knowing is created because we are doubtful of what can happen. The advantage of living in the Spirit is that you have no doubt, and therefore no fear. Whoever has attained the state of discovering that he or she is not the body, which is just a covering upon us. We are not our sense perceptions, another covering upon us. We are not even our minds, just another covering upon us. And we reside inside as the soul, as the spirit, as consciousness per se, not necessarily dependent on any of these covers, which has its own functions to perform independent of mind, senses, or body. The functions of love, intuition, joy, happiness, beauty, functions that cannot be transferred to the mind or to the senses or to the body. Those are the functions directly pertaining to our true self inside. Whoever has discovered that cannot have fear, cannot have doubt, because the sense of certainty that exists in true knowledge cannot be replaced by any amount of speculation through the mind. Mind is a speculator. Mind has no sense of certainty. All the logic, deductive and inductive, that the mind uses leads to doubt. In many of my talks, I've explained how this so-called reliance on logic never leads to certainty. It leads to conclusions. And many of the conclusions of which we are certain were there in the original premise itself. We never learned anything new. So when we apply these laws of logic to understand things, we are just going round about the same thing. Nothing new comes up with that. When new knowledge comes, we have not certainty about it. To get a clarity and certainty of which there is no blemish at all, you must be with your spirit. You can't rely upon the mind to create that clarity. Imagine that we have this possibility. I am myself amazed that a human being is endowed with this capacity to become unaware of the three covers while sitting in the body, while sitting in the physical body, have the ability to become unaware of these bodies, unaware of these covers, and discover who you are without dying, without going anywhere, sitting right where you are. If this is not a great miracle, what else is? That you have the ability to withdraw your attention and thereby carry the consciousness with that attention to a point where you can become unaware of a cover upon yourself. This body which we think is ourself, we leave it every night when you go to sleep. We don't know where the body is. Every night we withdraw ourselves from the body and go into another body, the dream body, move around in that and wake up and say, oh, that was just a dream. This is my real self. Imagine we're doing it all the time. And yet we say, this is our real self. What happened to the real self when you're sleeping and dreaming? No idea where it is. We have no contact with it. And yet there is contact. There's constant contact. You will see they've taken pictures of sleeping people and then use them to sell sleep beds and number beds and so on to show how many times we move around during our sleep. The whole body moves. Previously we thought only the eyelids have a rapid eye movement and we call it the REM. Now we find the whole body is reacting to dreams in the sleep. We are dreaming of something, body is moving. And the body movement is relatable to the dream. That means we have not lost connection. but we are unaware of it. We are unaware of a body that's live, that's kicking, is moving. We are totally unaware of it, and we think the dream body is real. And we run around in the dreams thinking that's real. Sometimes we realize in the dream, this must be a dream. Of course, not all the time, but sometimes we do. In very lucid dreams and very clear dreams, very colorful dreams, we sometimes feel, this looks like a dream. And then what do? Then I must go and find where my body is sleeping. We are still taking the dream body to be real, which can go and find something. Or we go and tell our friends, friends, this is a dream. And when we wake up, there are no friends. They never were. They were made by the dream. Imagine how much reality we can invest in a dream by leaving this body. And don't we realize that if this can happen, that we can create a dream body and make it real for a little while, and yet have a connection with the sleeping body, which is having movements. The eyelids are having movements exactly according to what you are watching. They have seen the eyelids moving up and down vertically, and they've woken up a patient under examination to understand this REM, and the patient says, I'm seeing a waterfall. They've seen eyelids moving sideways, they wake up, and they say, I was watching a tennis match. That what the vision was in the dream was corresponding to the movement of this physical body. Then don't we realize that if there is a higher self of ours, it must be connected to us the same way? That while we are acting in this physical world and thinking it's to be real, and if we have a higher self somewhere, it's also reacting to it at the same time, and that the connection has not been broken. But this is speculation still. What about verifying it? What about actually going into a state where we can check it out personally? Which means, just like we can wake up from a dream and know it was a dream, can we wake up from this body into the state into which the other body, higher body, might be sleeping, and in which we are having this kind of a dream? Is it possible to verify while dreaming and not just check with people? Not just check because I'm giving a talk, therefore you know it's there. Is there a possibility of actually waking up and finding that that was a sleep body, that was another kind of a dream body, a more lucid dream body than the other dream? Is it possible? Yes, it is. It's possible to withdraw your attention from this body in identical fashion as the attention is withdrawn at the time of physical death of a human being. When a person dies, the attention is withdrawn from the extremities of this body, from the arms and the feet and the legs and the rest of the body. It moves to the torso, comes up, and the person is still alive and can talk to us. And when it comes up here, person can't talk. When it goes to the brain is dead, person is dead. It's gone, lifeless. It's a very clear process. Those who have seen patients dying in terminal cases, in slow motion they can see the process of death. It's identical to this. Same thing can be achieved by pulling attention away from the extremities of the body and bringing them up toward the brain, toward the last part that dies, to bringing it into the head, to bring it to the center of the head, the right location where the pituitary body hangs, where the pineal gland is sitting on the side, right in the center, where consciousness seems to be spreading out from there into the whole body. If you can pull your attention by visualizing yourself there, what happens? What would happen? You start forgetting where your hands and feet are. The more you concentrate your attention there, you become unaware of the body. Ultimately, you don't know where your body is, and yet you have a very strong, vital body with which you can move around. Then you discover, was this my real body? Or the physical body my real body? That looked like a dream body. Is there no difference then? The the fact that while we are in a physical body, we have the capacity to go into a lower state of a dream and a higher state of an astral, of a very fine body that we can go into ourselves and know it's not another body. When we go into a dream body and wake up, we don't feel that the dream body has come somewhere. No, we were still always here, but we had a dream. It does not mean that we went away somewhere to have a dream. We were always here, but within our head, we had a dream. When we wake up to a higher level, we find we were always here. We just had another physical experience. And maybe that's not the end of the journey. You could move forward the same way. Supposing you can withdraw your attention the same way in this so-called fine body, astral body, which has all the sense perceptions intact, with no material stuff in it, no physical matter, and yet all sense perceptions are intact. You can see, touch, taste, smell, just like this body, in fact sharper than this body, more sensitive than this body. If you can have that experience and perform the same exercise of withdrawal of attention to the center of the conscious part of that body, which is in the head again, what happens? That body disappears also. You pull your attention from there and you discover that you were not even that body. It was just merely an instrument of experience. Just like the physical body was an instrument of experience, the dream body was an instrument of experience, so is the sensory system only an instrument of experience. That's not you. It was a cover used for experience of a certain kind. If you can then discover who you are, and you find you have no real form, you could create a form. And all these forms that you had in astral and physical bodies were created from there. You don't need a form to be yourself. It's the same self. It's the same thinking machine that was thinking in the dream. Same thinking machine that's thinking in the wakeful physical state. Same thinking machine that was in the astral body is still thinking without form. You are not gone anywhere. Because if you are the thinking being, you are still there. Now comes the real part, which is very, very rare. And I can tell you, very few people have achieved that. By conversation with thousands of people around the world, I can tell you, very few people have an experience beyond that. They think when you found your universal thinking machine, from where all thoughts come, from where all sensory perceptions come, from where all worlds are created, you found the real creative power, and that's it. To go beyond that is a very rare event. But you can. There you need help, a lot of help. Help from someone who has actually experienced something beyond that. If one has no experience, there's no way we can do it, because all our effort so far is concentrating of attention through the mind, through the physical body's positioning, through various kinds of little devices that we have available in the body, in the senses, in the mind. All effort that we make is because of these things. Now we need something beyond. When I talk of a perfect living master, I talk of a person who, as a human being sitting amongst us, has done that. That's the definition. I don't know if he is qualified otherwise or not. He might have gone to school or not gone to school, might be illiterate, might be white, might be black, might be brown, might be small, might be big, might be tall, might be woman, might be man. It doesn't matter. Might have one nationality or the other, it doesn't matter. That's not the definition of a perfect living master. Definition is he has gone beyond the universal mind and has touched upon soul per se, touched upon totality of consciousness where none of these bodies are needed and none of them exist. That's the definition. That's where we need the help of a PLM, a perfect living master. How can he help us? Because he operates from there. If he doesn't operate from there, he can't help us. If he operates from our level, if he's just a physical body, physical being like us, thinks like us, acts like us, lives like us, and is very learned, knows about all that, he can't help us. He can only help us if while he is here with us, He is operating from that point now, not that where he can go there and operate. We might be able to go to different stages and operate. He must operate like that from there while he is here. If that capacity is not there, he cannot be a perfect living master. He can't pull us up anywhere, because he'll be in the same round of the three worlds, physical and sensory and mental. He'll be just in the same three worlds we are in. That's why he must be one who, while he's here, is absolutely in touch in the same way as he's here. He is in touch with that which is beyond the mind. If he has that capability, he can see us from that point of view. He can see us from beyond the mind and knows that our souls are also beyond the mind, but we are trapped. That there's a huge trap of the three covers upon us, and he can pull us out of the trap. There's no way that you can just push yourself through it. No way. Push is only a mental thing. Nobody can achieve a pull with the mind. It has to be a push. The mind believes in struggle. The mind believes in doing. The mind believes we have to do something. That's push. Pull means somebody else takes us out, pulls us out. At that stage, there is no way that we can cross that huge barrier of the mental, causal, universal mind that holds us back and says this is the creator of all things. It is. It's not false statement. It's a true statement that that's the creator of all things that we know. That is the creator of all the three worlds. We have reached the ultimate creator of the world that we can know through our mind, through our body, through our senses. But that world which lies beyond that can only be sensed by this soul. And that relates to ultimate feeling of bliss, joy, beauty, intuition, love. These are the elements that exist there. And these elements are seeping down to us right here, but they're seeping from there. All other things are lying below that, but these lie above that. You will notice if there's a perfect living master in our midst at any time, he will be relying on these things. He will not say, sharpen your minds. He will not say, think hard and you'll get something. He will not teach like that. He will pull you with his unconditional love and friendship. So when I say that you can have a real friend forever, I am talking of one who operates from there. And because he operates from there, he is not concerned with our mental situation. He is not concerned with our karma. Karma is all created by the mind. There is no karma on our soul. We are pure consciousness with no karma whatsoever. Never had, never will. But when we identify ourselves with that which can hold memories and karma, which is the mind, when we become the mind, we get into the trouble with karma. One who is watching us from that level can see how we are trapped with the mind and therefore trapped in karma, therefore trapped in all these things, trapped in good and evil, trapped in reward and punishment, trapped in an everlasting cycle of time and space. It's a huge trap. We don't see it as a trap. We see it's a great universe created. Universe after universe is created. We don't see any trap in it. That guy can see there's a trap. And we are trapped. How can he judge when he knows that we are prisoners? That we need compassion. We don't need ordinary help. We don't need advice. We don't need support. We need genuine help to pull out from a prison. That person is not interested in saying, okay, let me give him some good advice, how to live life better. Or let me tell him how to handle certain situations better. There's so many people who are willing to do that. He knows there are thousands of people working in the mental sphere who can do all that work. That's not his job. His job is, if you are a seeker wanting to go beyond the mind, he'll come and pull you out. That's all. He is there only for the seekers who want to go beyond this level. If you want something to enlarge your area of memory, enlarge your understanding of the world, enlarge your inventiveness, enlarge your creativity. He's not the guy. There are lots of others. Many more. Thousands existing who can do that. They can teach you about development of your personality. They can teach you a lot of good things to do, how to be better artisans, better artists, better workers, better creators. They can teach you all that things. These things all lie within the three worlds of the physical material self, of the sensory perceptions that create our knowledge of them, and the mind that thinks about them. They're all three worlds within the mind. A perfect living master is not here for that. That's why he's rare. Because the seekers are also rare, who are seeking beyond this. But once he has spotted a seeker, and he says, this seeker, I am going to take charge, he will pull that seeker out. He will only have compassion and love for the seeker and no judgment whatsoever. Judgment is only possible if he himself operated from the mind. Have you ever noticed that there's nothing else in us that makes judgment except our mind? Our mind alone judges. And though we are told again and again, judge not, that you will be judged like this, we still judge. We pass judgment every minute of our life. We judge people, we judge situations. We are passing comments on that all the time. This is good, this is bad, I don't like this, I like this. We are giving judgments all the time on everything. Here is a person, a human being like us, who passes no judgment. It's a very unique experience to meet such a person. To meet and be associated with a person and see, is he passing judgment or is he come for something else? If his role is just to pull the seeker out of this prison, threefold prison, he will only pull the seeker from there. And he can only do it if he's above that level, when he's in the lowest level, either dream or here or astral or causal plane with the seeker. And such a person, I call a true friend. True friendship is when you can be pulled by such a person into a state of no time and space, a state of eternity, a state from where all time and space was created, a space from where the mind was created, a space where creators were created, a space where you can say, who was there prior to God? If there is a God who created everything, who created God? To get an answer, that's the place where you get the answer, that there is something that even creates the creator. You don't get the answer here. No answer good enough. If I keep on saying X created God, then who created X? I can keep on asking this question indefinitely. Who created that next one, the next one? But when you are there, you know what created everything, including creators. When created the very concept in which the mind operates, which is time and space. Have you ever thought of it? If time and space were pulled out, what will happen to us? If there is no time and space, what will be our identity? If we assume that we will be finished along with it, because we are taking ourselves to be material things. But supposing we say, we are spiritual beings. We are not mind, we are not the physical body, we are not our sense perceptions, and all space and time one day is pulled out. What will be our condition? Beautiful. We'll all become one. Instantly. We'll all become one consciousness. Instantly. We'll be our reality. There'll be nothing left which is illusion. Can you imagine the simple process of pulling out two elements created, which are also actually one element, looks like two, space and time. When this element is pulled out, we all become one instantly. And we all become, what do we become then? Everything else has gone, all form has gone, all exterior is gone. The only thing left is consciousness. And we become totality of consciousness, a single being. Now reverse the process. If you reverse it, if we take ourselves as one totality of consciousness, nothing else existing, and then because it is conscious, it can consciously create things to be conscious of, and creates space and time, and creates mind, creates bodies, creates this whole world comes into being. when they wanted to study when did the Big Bang take place, they followed a simple principle. They looked at the rate of expansion of the universe by watching galaxies and other suns and moons and other places. They looked at what rate they are expanding. Then they reversed the calculation. Said if they are expanding at that rate, then let's go back and see and contract, and contracted back. And they found out Big Bang took place 14.5 billion years ago. It's a simple calculation. It's the same thing here. If we can find out that if every time and space is collapsed from here, we go back into totality of consciousness, and if time and space is introduced there, it will create exactly what we have here. So we can work both ways in trying to understand that our oneness is not dependent upon our thoughts. We are taught that we are all one. And our minds are saying, but I don't want to be that one. I hate that guy. How can I be one with that guy? I don't like that person. I don't like. How can I be one with them? This is not a mental game. It has to be above the mind with no time and space to become one. Now imagine a person, a human being, just like us, sitting here, in touch with that and conscious at that very moment of that state of totality of consciousness. Not that he has to reach there. We have to reach there. He has reached there, and once you reach there, you can't lose it. Then you know the whole show is going on from there. Now the show is within that one knowledge. Supposing there's a person who has that knowledge and sits amongst us, how do he look at us? How will he look at us as a human being? As a human being, we are looking at ourselves separately. Will he do that? No, he will see that we are just an extension of the same consciousness. That person can really say we are one, because he's seeing us as one. He's experiencing us as one. And therefore, he understands exactly the purpose of this expansion into many. We don't understand the nature of this expansion. We don't know why we are so many. Do we have any idea why we are so many and we are expanding all the time? Universes are expanding, we are expanding, populations are expanding, our brains are expanding, our knowledge is expanding. What kind of expansion is this? And why are we having this expansion? Why do we need it? We have no idea, because we are not at a point where we can see this expansion. Whereas a perfect living master who is in his physical body with us, in a dream body in a dream, in an astral body with us in astral selves, at all levels can see why we are expanding and what the whole game is about. He sees things very differently. He can say we are all one. It's part of the experience of one to have an experience of the many in order for some purpose to be served. What purpose is served if there was only one and then we become many? One purpose is obvious, that the very problem I mentioned right in the beginning, the problem of loneliness, is taken care of. And it is taken care of in an even better way if a large section of the expanded self is cut off from the knowledge of the one. Then we are so many. Then we have lost that loneliness, at least temporarily. At least we feel like that. It's an experience. We get an experience of overcoming loneliness by creating the many. But the second, more important reason is that when we sitting here want to think of a particular problem, we can look at it from many angles. I create a little statue as an artist. Supposing I'm an artist making statues, and I make a statue. I look at it from all sides. How does it look from this side? How does it look? When I'm turning around to look at my work of art, I want to see it from all points of view. I get a full knowledge of what I created if I can see it from all points of view. What would totality of consciousness do if it created a work of art called the many? And if the many is his work of art, he needs a lot of points of view to see it. Wouldn't it be then a very good device to put that point of view in each unit of consciousness that seems to be operating like the many? Think of this. that if we people all living here with our consciousness in our heads and ability to observe are merely points of view of the Creator, that we are not separated, but we are separated as points of view to look at creation from this angle only, from one place, where one person is placed, from one location. We're seeing that. And then you can stretch it further. We can make many life forms. We can make insects crawling, looking at life totally differently. You go make birds fly, they are looking at differently. You make angels fly and looking at differently. You can create trillions and trillions and decillions of points of view to examine the beautiful creation of the many. Don't you see? It's a great thing to do. What do we need for that reason? Not only make the many as an experience on a stage, but invest the many with the ability to be conscious, with the ability to observe, and thus make the show so beautiful that not only can you observe from the top, you can observe from every point of the creation. What could be better than that? Just using the same analogy, that if time and space is pulled out, we become totality of consciousness. We invest time and space and invest units of consciousness which are not separated. They look separated. Why do we want to make them even look separated? Now that's very important part. So that the innate nature of consciousness, which generates experiences beyond the mind, beyond time and space, which do not need time and space. For example, the experience of love. Let's take one experience. When we fall in love with somebody, how instantaneous that feeling is. Has anybody seen that the experience of love, that when it comes, it takes time and crawls along, or just you feel it? Actually, the truth is, it does not take time. Nor does it take place in any kind of space that you need for love to be experienced. Love is one of those experiences which does not need space or time. Beauty. When you say it's beautiful, when you feel beautiful, does it have to generate over time? Let me observe more, and then I'll see if it's beautiful or not. No. It's instantaneous. Joy. The experience of joy, sudden joy, bliss, happiness, being on top, comes at once. There are these things which come at once which do not need time or space at all. And yet they are occurring in time and space in our bodies while we are here. And yet the other things are happening which take time and space, such as thoughts. You can't have a single thought without time and space. Thoughts, sense perceptions, take time and space. Body movements take time and space. The existence of the body takes time and space. So you notice that there are things which cannot happen without time and space. There are things that happen beyond time and space. What is the dividing line between them? You'll notice that those that need time and space are generated by the mind, and those that do not need it are the functions of the soul. We are performing these dual functions all the time while the soul is covered by the mind, the senses, and the body. And while performing these functions, we find that we are trying to find solutions to problems which may be existing in the soul. The soul may be unhappy over something, that why is it trapped? And we're trying to solve the problem with the mind, with our thoughts, with speculation, with philosophy. Philosophy has never been able to solve these problems. Why were the philosophers not able to solve? Do you know there was a whole series of philosophers about a couple of 100 years ago who, the more they thought about solving the problem of loneliness, became more depressed than ever before. They called the depressed philosophers. And they led to whole reign of philosophy got into depression itself. And then enlightenment came from somewhere else. Let the philosophy go away. This was touched upon very briefly by William Shakespeare, the dramatist, who said there never yet was philosopher who could bear the toothache patiently. Even an ordinary toothache stops all philosophy there. Pain stops all philosophy. Pain has been created to make this experience real. Supposing there was no pain in this world, we'd be flying in a fantasy land. It won't be real. Pain makes this world real. But what a bad way to create reality, that you have to make pain in order to be real. But we were so needy of reality at all times, even right now. We want something real. All the time we say we want something real. And because of that need for reality, we introduce things like pain, need to shut off our internal knowledge of who we really are, to depend upon external forms as our own beings. And all these are things which have trapped us. And those rare people, which we call perfect living masters, operating amongst us with the awareness of their totality of consciousness at that very time, who can pull us out. They have nothing for us except compassion and love. They have no other thought. They have no judgment. They know the judgment is based upon mind. They don't operate from that. We think they are smart people sometimes, but they try to be smart because we like to engage them in intellect. We like to engage them in physical activity. We like to meet them, have physical contact. And we think that that's why they are physical. But they are doing all this for one purpose. They have only one purpose that they have: to pull the seeker out of these three big traps of the physical, the astral, and the mental worlds, and take them back to the nature of their true spirit. And not only that, to be their permanent friend forever, into the region of totality of consciousness where there is no time and space. The friendship is felt even there. This friendship that they inculcate here, which is their true method of teaching. They are not teachers really. They pretend to be teachers because we like to be taught. I mean, they are satisfying our mind to get it out of the way. They know the only obstacle we have to our own learning is our own mind. And they want to do something to keep our mind out of the way. They say, okay, the mind wants to be taught, we'll be teachers. They are not teachers. They come to take us out. They come just to pull us out into that region from where they are operating, which leads us to the fact that the truth of totality of consciousness lies in these functions that belong to the soul. Functions of love, beauty, joy. These are our true functions. And when we are pulled out of this morass of the mental worlds, that's what we'll be experiencing all the time. And once we have established that contact with somebody operating like this who pulls us out, that friendship lasts forever into eternity. I am very glad that I could share some thoughts about friendship to you today, because true friendship is available in this world. What do you need to do to find a true friend? Seek. No other qualification is needed. No qualification is needed to be found by a perfect living master except you seek. And seek in your heart. Seek inside. Seek in your mind. Don't seek by shouting loud. Seek inside. It's not your job to go and find where the master is. It's the master's job to come to you if you're a seeker. He'll find you if you're a seeker. We'll have a break now for a little while. I'll come back and answer your questions if you have any. I'm very happy to meet all of you, my new friends. Thank you.